Dan email. 3 days after my father's funeral, clear your desk by end of day. 5 years of dedication traded for a cold dismissal. But I didn't crumble. I made them pay with my resilience. I'm Holly Peterson, 34, once the top regional team lead at Summit Edge Logistics. Early morning, the Boise office still quiet. I opened my laptop, ready to catch up after 3 days off. 3 days. Approved leave to bury my father. But an email from Dan Weaver, my boss, hit me. Clear your desk. HR will handle paperwork. Reason? We need people who prioritize work. As if my father's funeral was a party I chose over a quarterly report. I leaned back, the leather chair creaking in the silence. No tears, no slamming fists, just a cold resolve. I scanned my desk. A cactus my team gave me for Christmas. A photo from our company retreat, handwritten thank you notes from those I led. 5 years of building, not just a career, but a work family. We celebrated birthdays, supported each other through hardships, smashed targets together. Now it all fit in a cardboard box. The termination notice, signed by Dan, the man who approved my leave last week. Vague reasoning, failure to maintain presence during a critical period. My father died, his grave still fresh, yet I was deemed irresponsible. I snapped a photo of the email, forwarded it to my personal account, shut down, and started packing. As colleagues arrived, my desk was half empty. Tanya from accounting froze. Holly, what's happening? I'm fired, I said, voice steady. For taking approved leave for your dad's funeral? I nodded, wrapping the cactus in newspaper. That's not right. Paula, the regional manager, has to know. I'm not fighting, I said, but I won't forget. Jason, my direct report, approached, his usual grin gone. This is nonsense. We just closed the Newbrook merger. 18% profit spike because of you. I smiled faintly. Not enough, apparently. By 9:30 a.m., all 7 of my team surrounded my desk, silent. Veronica teared up. Ethan, always stoic, clenched his fists. They, Michael, Louise, Diane, Gabriella, Kayla, watched, faces shifting from shock to anger. You can't leave, Veronica choked out. The Wilson contract's next week. Hernandez is mid-negotiation. No one knows the system like you. Dan should have thought of that before firing me for attending my dad's funeral, I said, taping the box shut. Dan's voice cut through, sharp behind me. Everyone, back to your desks. Deadlines. No one moved. Now, he barked. My team dispersed, exchanging glances that promised more. Dan stepped closer, voice low. You should have waited till end of day to pack, more discreet. I met his eyes. Discreet like firing me via email after approving my leave? His face tightened. Business moves fast. Summit Edge needs people who know priorities. Don't, I cut in, voice sharp. Talk about my father. He stepped back, adjusting his tie. HR's waiting. Don't make this difficult. I lifted my box. Don't worry, I'm not making a scene. But remember this moment, Dan. The HR office was sterile, white walls, no warmth. Barbara Kent, 6 months on the job, slid papers across, eyes uneasy. I'm sorry, Holly, she said, and so sorry about your father. Thanks, I replied, scanning the documents. 2 weeks severance, a non-disparagement clause, and a reminder of my non-compete. 6 months, no working for competitors. Do you know why? Barbara asked, cautious. I showed her the termination email. 3 days of approved leave for my father's funeral, and I'm out for not prioritizing work. Her face paled. Just an email? No performance plan, no warning? I nodded. She scribbled something, excused herself. I gazed out the window, the Boise River curving through. My father taught me patience by that river, standing in cold water, waiting for fish. Holly, rivers flow, but rocks stand still, he'd said. I'd be the rock. Barbara returned, lips tight. Idaho's an at-will state, she began. The company can. I know, I cut in, signing the papers. No fight. Summit Edge can do what it wants. So can I. She hesitated, whispered. Off the record, this isn't right. If you want to sue... Thanks, I said, but I'm not suing. I walked through the main office, feeling colleagues' eyes. My team watched, faces heavy. I gave a small smile, a final goodbye as their leader. Outside, the September air was oddly warm. I loaded the box into my trunk, sat behind the wheel, letting it sink in. My phone buzzed. Texts from Jason, Veronica, Ethan, the whole team. They're wrong. What do we do? You okay? Can we meet? Dan's a coward, the team's furious. They weren't just colleagues. They were my work family. I started the car, a plan forming. No suing Summit Edge, no noise, I'd be patient like a rock in the river. My phone buzzed again. Hank Fleming, CEO of Vertex Transport Systems, Summit Edge's biggest rival. We'd met at an industry conference last year. He'd offered me a spot on his team multiple times. Now was the time to answer. Vertex's office was different. Open layout, bright, collaborative. Hank, silver beard, sharp eyes, shook my hand firmly. "I hoped you'd call," he said, leading me to a conference room. "Didn't expect it under these circumstances." I told him, showed the termination email. "Not just bad management," Hank frowned. "It's inhuman. Summit Edge always puts profit over people." "I didn't see it," I said, "until they stabbed me in the back." Hank leaned forward. "I want you at Vertex. We're expanding in the Pacific Northwest. Need someone like you. Regional director, interested?" My heart skipped. Regional director, a big step up, more authority, higher pay. "What about the non-compete?" I asked. Hank smiled. "Our lawyers looked, it's vague, hard to enforce. If Summit Edge sues, we cover legal costs." "I need to think," I said, cautious. "End of the weekend," Hank said. "We'll talk details Monday." That night, I met Veronica and Jason at a brewery outside town. "How are you holding up?" Veronica asked, worried. "I'll be fine," I said. Jason snorted. "Dan's an idiot. The office is chaos. No one knows where the Henderson files are. Your system access isn't transferred." "Dan's problem," I said, sipping water. Veronica leaned in. "People are buzzing, not just our team. They're scared. If you, the best team lead, get treated like this, who's safe?" "People aren't just mad," Veronica said, eyes bright. "Paula, the regional manager, is asking questions. She looks nervous." I nodded, saying nothing. Jason checked his phone, frowned. "Dan called an emergency meeting tomorrow, Saturday." "Never happens," Veronica explained. "The Wilson contract needs approval Monday. No one can find your analysis file." I smirked. The file was on the company server, but my organization system wasn't obvious. Not intentional, but I felt a spark of satisfaction. "I've got to go," I said, grabbing my bag. "Early meeting tomorrow." Jason eyed me, curious. "Holly, hypothetically, if you went to Vertex, are they hiring?" I paused, studying them. "Hypothetically, yes. They're expanding fast." Veronica and Jason exchanged a look, a silent promise. Saturday morning, I met Vincent Torres, an employment lawyer. His office was small, polished, walls lined with prestigious degrees. I shared the story, showed the email and termination notice. "Textbook wrongful termination," Vincent said, removing his glasses. "Firing someone for approved bereavement leave could breach contract and good faith." "I don't want to sue," I stressed. "Just need to understand the non-compete." He reviewed it, frowning. "Overly restrictive. 6 months, no competitor work within 300 miles. It's like telling you to leave the industry or move." "Is it enforceable?" "In Idaho, tough, especially given how they fired you. Courts don't favor employers acting in bad faith." "What's your plan?" he asked. "Vertex offered me regional director, better pay." Vincent nodded. "Summit Edge would need to prove real harm." "Unlikely. Move forward, but be careful." Over the weekend, my phone buzzed constantly, texts from my old team. Saturday's emergency meeting was tense. Dan pushed everyone to take on extra work. No pay bump. The Wilson file was found, but no one understood my analysis. Sunday night, I made my choice. Monday, I called Hank Fleming. "I'm in, but I have conditions." "Name them," Hank said. "I want to build my own team. If my old Summit Edge colleagues apply, I want them fairly considered." "Done?" Hank said. "If they're half as good as you, we're lucky." That afternoon, I signed with Vertex, Pacific Northwest Regional Director, 40% pay increase, better benefits, signing bonus. Leaving Vertex's office, my phone showed 7 new texts, each from my old team, wanting to meet privately. Tuesday, I sat in a downtown coffee shop corner, waiting. Jason arrived first, then Veronica, Ethan, Louise, Diane, Gabriella, Kayla. 7 people, filling 2 join tables. "Summit Edge is imploding," Ethan started. "Dan's micromanaging, Paula's pressuring, clients are asking questions." Veronica added, "Wilson asked why you're not handling their contract renewal." I listened, sipping coffee as they described the chaos, the frustration. "Heard you took a job at Vertex," Jason said, the group falling silent, eyes on me. "News travels," I replied. "We want to come with you," Veronica said, voice firm. The group nodded. "You have good jobs at Summit Edge," I said. "Sure you want to risk it?" Louise gave a bitter laugh. "Good? If they fire you for your dad's funeral, who's safe?" "Vertex is hiring," I said, careful. "I can recommend, but you'd need to apply formally." Gabriella pulled out a stack of papers. "We applied yesterday." I blinked. "Before even talking to me?" Kayla smiled. We trust you, Holly. Where you go, we follow. Monday, 7:30 a.m., my phone rang. Paula McCormack, Summit Edge's regional manager. Her voice strained to stay calm. Holly, we need to talk. Morning, Paula, I said even. How can I help? I just got 7 resignation letters from your old team, effective immediately. She paused, waiting. Care to explain? Not sure I need to, I said. I don't work for Summit Edge anymore. Maybe ask Dan why his best team is walking out. Her tone hardened. This is about your firing, isn't it? I've looked into it, she continued, quieter. Dan didn't consult me before letting you go. I'd never have approved. That's between you and Dan, I said. But I'm curious. How does a regional manager not know her top team lead's being fired? Paula sighed. Dan called it an urgent performance issue. Didn't wait for me to return from a Seattle conference. I trusted him. Clearly a mistake. Silence stretched. Then Paula said, I want to offer you your job back. 10% raise, formal apology. We need you. The Wilson contract's at risk. Thanks, Paula, I said, but I've taken another position. We'll match Vertex's offer, plus 10%, she pressed. It's not about money, I said. Then what do you want? Her voice edged with desperation. 7 key employees quitting at once is a disaster. Their operational knowledge? You'd need to rewind time, I cut in, to when my father died, and Summit Edge acted human, not punished me for grieving. Paula went silent. I've got to go, I said. Starting my new job today, don't want to be late. Your non-compete, she started. Let your lawyers contact me, I replied. But they should review my termination first. I drove to Vertex, arriving early to prepare. Hank greeted me in the lobby, grinning. We're reviewing all 7 of your former colleagues. Their resumes are stellar. Interviews start Wednesday. Thanks for giving them a fair shot, I said. Fair? Holly, their talent. Summit Edge's loss is our gain. 2 days later, Barbara from Summit Edge's HR called. I shouldn't say this, she whispered, but Dan's on suspension pending investigation. Paula's reviewing leave and management policies. Good, I said, sincere. The board's involved too, Barbara added. Losing a whole team to a competitor has them rattled. By Friday, all 7 of my team got and accepted Vertex offers. That night, we celebrated, toasting new beginnings. To Holly, Veronica said, who showed us what real leadership looks like. Jason added, and to freedom. The next week, Summit Edge sent a formal letter, admitting my termination was wrong and offering mediation to avoid a lawsuit. I accepted, not for money, but for their public acknowledgement of fault. That same day, the Wilson contract moved to Vertex after they learned their favorite team now worked for me. The river kept flowing, but we stood firm like rocks, just as my father taught. 3 months later, I presented Vertex's quarterly results. 30% growth, 4 major clients, 3 from Summit Edge, and 22% cost efficiency gains. Outstanding, Holly, Hank said. You and your team exceeded every expectation. I smiled. My team deserves the credit. After the meeting, my old team waited with a cake. 3-month anniversary of jumping ship, Jason grinned. We're thriving, Veronica said. Really, Holly, everyone's happy. They were. Free, resourced, valued as people, not machines. My phone buzzed. A news alert. Summit Edge Logistics restructures after client exodus. Ethan, cutting cake, commented, heard they lost the Hernandez contract last week, 20% of Northwest revenue. Dan's gone, Louise added, cleared his office Friday. Paula's scrambling. I didn't gloat over Summit Edge's struggles, just saw justice. They didn't collapse because we left, but because their leadership built a culture treating people as disposable. Attending my father's funeral was seen as a lack of commitment. That was their failure's root. I raised my water glass. To them, learning a company's only as strong as its people. Gabriella laughed. And to Holly, who showed us we're worth more. 6 months later, Paula McCormack invited me to lunch. She'd left Summit Edge, now consulting on workplace culture. By the Boise River, she looked relaxed, stress lines faded. Thanks for meeting me, Paula said. I owe you a personal apology. You weren't directly responsible, I replied. No, but I enabled a culture where it could happen. She shared, after our team left, Summit Edge unraveled. The board hired consultants. Their report slammed leadership. Summit Edge got bought out by Meridian Shipping, Paula said. Fire sale price, just for client lists and assets. What about Dan? I asked. Unemployed, reputation shot. Your story spread across the industry. I didn't boast, didn't hide. When asked why I left Summit Edge, I told the truth. Paula asked, eyes probing, was it worth it, leaving quietly instead of fighting? I thought of my Vertex team, thriving, motivated, respected. Thought of the clients who followed, getting better service. Thought of my father, who taught me the strongest response doesn't need noise. Worth it, I said. The results speak. A year after that email, Vertex promoted me to Executive Vice President for the Northwest. My division became the company's diamond. Efficient, innovative, top employee satisfaction. Jason now leads his own department. Veronica revolutionized client relations. The whole team advanced, their talents recognized. On my termination anniversary, I got a small package. The old cactus, grown a bit, from Barbara. Picked it off your desk, she wrote. Summit Edge closes next week. I set it on my windowsill where it caught sunlight. Like me, it survived abandonment, found a better place to grow. That night, I stood by the Boise River, where my father and I used to fish. The water flowed, curling around rocks, same as always. A cold email once pushed me to the edge, but it led to greater success, truer happiness, not just for me, but for those who followed. My father was right. Sometimes you just stand firm, let the current do its work. My victory wasn't destroying Summit Edge, but building something better, a place where bereavement isn't punished, where people matter more than numbers, where leadership lifts, not controls. If you've been hurt, undervalued, remember, you don't need to scream to prove your worth. Be the rock, steady, patient, unerasable, because true legacy is what you build, not what you break. My father would be proud. Nếu bạn cần bản văn này theo định dạng cụ thể, PDF kịch bản đọc phân đoạn để thu âm v.v., mình có thể giúp chuyển đổi nhanh chóng.